Hey guys, it's Clifford here. Thanks for checking out this video. My conversation with the band Becoming the Archetype at Audiofeed 2023. Just wanted to say this was a super awesome conversation. I really loved getting to talk with these guys in front of a bunch of people on a stage. I had never done that before, so thanks to those guys for bearing with me. They were super cool. So yeah, thanks for checking out this video. I just wanted to say off the bat that we only got the audio recorded for this interview, so that's basically all you're going to see for this video, so I hope you're okay with that. I still think it's an interesting conversation nonetheless. I'm sure I'm going to be getting a lot of Becoming the Archetype fans here, so really appreciate you guys checking out my video. Hope you check out the rest of my channel, and I hope that you like it. And to all my, just a little thing to all my longer fans of the channel, yes, my computer is still out of commission currently, and so this is basically all that I can do is upload this video, this audio thing. So yeah, but also while we're waiting for things to get back to normal on my channel, which hopefully will be soon, go check out Podwood Forecast, because I'm still able to do things with that. I'm still able to edit podcasts, and also be on the lookout for my other interview that I did at Audiofeed with Ronnie Martin from Joy Electric. I think that's all I have for now, so thanks again, guys, and enjoy the interview. Also, check out Becoming the Archetype's music. All right, here we go.
If you flip it to the right, you'll notice that it turns on.
Which one's the power button?
I think you got it.
I got it. Yeah.
You got it.
Am I on? Can you hear me? Hello?
We hear you.
Cool. All right. Well, I think it's 6:20 right now.
Like that.
Yep. 6:20. All right. How you guys doing tonight at Audiofeed so far? First day. Getting first day stretches out. Well, right now we're doing something a little different. I don't think has ever been done at Audiofeed before. I mean, of course, Audiofeed's had its history of having like talks and seminars and such, but I don't think they've ever done interviews before. And last year was my first year at Audiofeed, and the people at Audiofeed were kind enough to give me a mic to be able to talk to some really cool artists. So I'm glad that they have trusted me enough to do that. And I have the privilege of being able to talk to these guys, Becoming the Archetype. Let's give it up for Becoming the Archetype. How you guys doing? You guys just pull in a little while ago?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're here from Georgia.
All the way from Georgia.
He doesn't live in Georgia.
I live in Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This guy's the real MVP.
Oh, thanks so much.
Hey, a round of applause for this guy.
I already had this guy, but this is a lot easier to handle, for sure, especially when I have a mic in my hand. Yeah. Gotta love Bubba. So how do you guys, how far is Wisconsin from Georgia? I know this is a great interview question.
Like 14 hours for me to drive when we practice. So when we played our comeback show in December,
Awesome.
I drove 14 hours from Madison to Atlanta, practiced with the band, drove 14 hours north to Pennsylvania to play the show, and then 14 hours home from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, home of August Burns Red.
Gotcha. Dude, props to you, man. You are dedicated.
Yeah, props to me.
Yeah, you also wear your own shirt, so I respect that. I think that's great. I mean, I was in a band, and then it was hard enough to get someone who lived like an hour away to come to either a practice or a show or whatever. So that's crazy. And you drive that whole way?
Yeah. Yes.
That's insane, man. All right, so.
And we practice every day. No.
You,
once a year.
You have no time
Currently.
to yourself.
We're on the once a year program.
Yeah.
Well, we were on the once a decade program for a while. If you don't know, we were on hiatus for 10 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's something that I wanted to talk about because you guys were missing in action for a while. Your previous album, I Am, came out in 2012, and then you came out with your next album like 10 years later. So
that's correct.
So what was up with that? You know, and what was that like for you guys? Those 10 whole years in between.
Well, after Celestial Completion, Jason and Duck were not able to tour anymore. So we got a couple other members to keep going, and we did I Am, as you mentioned. But the music industry, especially the heavy music industry, was kind of in the tank a little bit, and people were having families, and so we went on hiatus in summer 2013, and there wasn't really a reason to do a whole lot for a while. But then Jason called me and said, we should do BTA. And then Duck called and said, I want to do that too. And then the Holy Spirit moved and created a band ex nihilo out of nothing.
I mean, if you were being unironic about that, I was just going to nod and like, oh yeah, Holy Spirit. No, that's great.
The Holy Spirit, ironically and unironically.
Yeah, exactly. He moves in all things.
She's got a sense of humor.
Yeah. So, so what was that like for you guys, like beforehand? Like, what were you guys doing in between? Like, just making ends meet?
Like you said, we were missing in action. Nobody knew where we were.
Yeah.
Our families were searching for
We
10
were on
years.
milk cartons,
Out in the woods.
lost children.
Pictures in the post
We,
office.
we had fallen between the cushions of the musical couch.
Can you fit between the cushions? Are you able to-
Wow.
Yep.
So
I'm sure you guys say that in brotherly love.
when I left the band,
Have a brother.
when I left the band and Doug left with me, it was because my wife and I were going to have our first child, and
reason.
so I had to find a real job, and so I became a teacher. And
You insulted like 50% of the people at this festival.
I said it. Real job.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, it was the expectation. I had to provide for my wife and child.
Of course.
And then, that's what I've been doing and still kind of doing that, teaching stuff. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I also had 3 kids in that break in the cushion. Nope, not following the couch analogy. Never mind. We had 3 kids. And
Yeah.
I also had to work instead of play drums.
Yeah. Cool. So what did that look like exactly? Because you said that you guys just like were just like let's do it again. Let's bring it back. What how was the situation like different last year than it was in 2012?
Well, okay, so
We
originally...
were really bored.
No, so the whole...
A pandemic will do that,
Originally, the idea was we were just going to do an album, right? We didn't have any plans to play any concerts. We gotten a few calls to play some, so we've said, well, yeah, we should do that. The original plan was just to do an album. We kind of started working on that in like 2020, right before the pandemic, or right at the beginning of the...
2019
Yeah, 2019 even. So even though the record came out in 2022, it was something we were working on over time. And it doesn't happen fast when you haven't done stuff together for a decade.
Sure, yeah.
So, yeah, we took our time and put together a record we're really proud of, and yeah.
We also figured out that people don't make records like we used to. We used to just go into one room and then we would kind of yell at each other and then play a riff a bunch of times until we liked it.
Yeah.
And now people just email each other and like that feels really gross. But it worked.
Yeah.
Like eventually, it took a lot longer to do that because you can't really jam over the phone. You
Right.
can't jam over Zoom because whoever's louder just kind of gums up the feed. So we had to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
It was like trying to figure out how to be a band again.
Yeah. Over online.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I would
yeah.
prefer everybody just come over, but it's really far for Seth to drive.
Sure.
His mom
yeah.
won't let him come over.
The boss won't let you go. You could do it like The Rocker style, the movie The Rocker with Rainn Wilson. They just practice over Zoom, and that was like back in 2005, I think. So I'm like, how in the world would they have even done that?
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know Rainn Wilson was a Christian in Christian movies.
No, it's.
Oh,
it's
we can only talk about Christian music and Christian
yeah.
movies.
It's not the
audio
the.
feed.
In fact, that very scene, Rainn Wilson is practicing the drums in the nude. So yeah,
It's the best way to do it.
Like
Yeah.
like David in the Bible.
Exactly.
As
Yeah.
God made him.
All right, moving on.
Yes, moving on. TMI. So yeah, so you guys have been through like many different lineup changes and such.
It's too personal.
What's that?
It's too personal.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, how have you guys been able to like keep your identity as a band through like all those changes? Because I'd say you guys have stayed pretty consistent, like from the get-go. I'm sure you guys have grown for sure, but you guys
Yes, substantially. Have you seen us?
Yeah.
We are much larger human
You're big
beings
boys
than we
now.
were
Yeah.
at the beginning.
But like like musically and such. But
Well, when we sat down to do the new record, we specifically said we were like, well, we don't want this to just sound like another heavy record. We want it to
Right.
sound like Becoming the Archetype has returned.
Yes,
You know.
yeah.
So we were like, well, what does that sound like? And what are the things that we want to sound like? And one of the nice parts about that is for us, I mean, we hadn't written anything together in 10 years or more, so a lot of the ideas that we have kind of sound like they would have 10 years ago. Sure. It wasn't like we've been doing stuff all along and we're trying to reinvent ourselves this time, you know?
right, yeah.
We were just like, yeah, let's just make a record that is the kind of music we've always wanted to make.
Yeah.
So,
Did a lot of the songs on the new record, did that just kind of accumulate over the past 10 years? Like just kind of in the back of your head? Or when you guys just got together, you just kind of...
No, but it was a lot. Like we said, we started in 2019, and some of the ideas from 2019 got edited and changed a lot, but
Sure.
the bones of them are sort of there in the album. So it was like a 3-year process probably of refining and adding and editing. Sure. Tweaking. Yep.
Yeah, because I was just curious, because like being a creative myself, like I can't imagine having to take a break for so long, you know, and just always having ideas.
we're not actually creative. We just used AI to write the record.
Oh,
It was
touchy. Hot
Please
topic.
AI, please create a Becoming the Archetype record.
Actually, we
And
should
we
try
have
that for the
profited
next one.
wildly.
write a heavy metal song in the style of Becoming the Archetype.
We should try that for the next record.
Which actually, have you seen like some of the examples of like if you put in Chat GPT, like write a song in this person's style, and it's just terrible.
Well, hopefully, no, we wouldn't do that. We couldn't live with ourselves.
Of
Seth
course.
could,
I could live with myself, for sure.
but me and Duck would not.
Do we still get paid?
We don't get paid now.
Oh, yeah.
That's the important thing.
Would we start to get paid?
I mean,
Maybe.
you guys developed the Becoming the Archetype sound, so you should get paid anyways.
Okay.
So
Yep.
Wouldn't be a sound without it. So speaking of which, with your new album, there's you guys must be huge fans of sci-fi because your previous album from years ago, Dichotomy, I know I read that it was heavily inspired by C.S. Lewis' Space Trilogy. A lot of obvious references in there. I think that's awesome. I'm a big Lewis fan. And now your newest album is this big sci-fi concept album. So where does that come from? You know?
I mean, so this was the first BTA record that is a full-blown, from beginning to end concept. So there were concept ideas mixed throughout the other albums that we had done. The second record had 4 songs that were tied together, and then Dichotomy had, overarching themes from the Space Trilogy and the Dark Tower series. And then I Am sort of had an overarching idea. But this was the first one. I wanted to sit down and just write a story. And that story kind of came around before we had even had any of the songs, which was also something that was different this time. Normally I've written the lyrics after. So
After the album comes out.
after the album comes out, yeah. I'm like Lil Wayne. I have to have somebody to transcribe
It's like
my
you
lyrics
guys
for
wouldn't
me.
be the only ones.
I'm like Big Wayne, but
That's your solo project.
OB
That's going to be your
Swain.
solo project.
That's me. OB Swain. Yeah. Anyway, the point is, I like the opportunities that sci-fi presents for tackling very human themes, but in a way that's slightly, fantasy.
Right.
That's just my preference. I mean, I also really like things like Lord of the Rings, like high fantasy,
Same.
but I can't see myself writing that per se for us.
And it allows you a lot of freedom. I don't do any of the lyrics. Jason does all the lyrics, but
That's right.
he mentioned the Dark Tower series earlier, which is by Stephen King, and Stephen King says about fiction, you can tell the truth more powerfully when you wrap it in the lie of fiction. When you don't wrap the truth in normal dressing that everyone's used to, you kind of end up with a more powerful result. And I think that's what helps in stories like the Space Trilogy or the Dark Tower series or the space epic that Jason wrote for the new album.
So you think our album is a lie?
Fiction is a lie.
That's what I
It's not
heard.
real.
I mean, yeah, every fictional story is a lie.
I'm out.
But they all have truth to it. At least they should. But awesome. So, would you guys be? So I love concept albums, but sometimes for me, I need the artist to actually write out this, explain it to me exactly what's going on, because sometimes it's not so obvious. So, would you guys, for a dummy like me, be willing to basically share the whole outline and summary
No.
of what?
Jason, why don't you handle this one?
All right, that's all.
Well, I mean, okay, so I am joking when I say no, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I feel like part of the experience of the album is listening and finding the things for yourself. So I could tell you, when this happens, that's what that's supposed to mean. But I feel like that kind of steals a little bit away from it.
Sure.
But in short, the album is about a group of people who go off to colonize a planet, and then they are lost, and the connection is lost, and thousands of years go by, but there's still a remnant of people who remember them and want to reconnect and save them or find them or whatever, and then come to find out when they get to that planet eventually that things have gone horribly wrong. And anyway, there's a lot of it. The record really, I think, starts out pretty straightforward sci-fi and then gets a lot thicker with what are the things supposed to mean, and then it ends with sort of almost like a communion. The last song's called The Sacrament, but it's like a sci-fi monster style communion thing. We're all also big fans of the band Blaster the Rocket Man. So anybody familiar with them? So yeah.
I'm not actually.
You're not? Well, you should go dig in.
Okay.
They have an album called The Monster Who Ate Jesus, which is a wonderful record.
Oh wow.
I have a question.
they
I have a question while you drink water.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a question. What are these people doing in here?
These are the kind of people who listen to podcasts.
Is somebody awesome coming on after this?
Yeah, are you guys waiting for who's after
It's
us?
like when you
that's
get in the
right.
front because
There's
you
a
don't want
band.
people to get.
So can you guys just
Is Glenn
wrap it up
Kaiser here?
already? When's the music
I
start?
hope so.
I think Orion Walsh is after this.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
One thing I love about the story that Jason did is that it speaks a lot to the human condition of the existential terror that I think many people experience, whether that's just from awareness and self-consciousness in life, or if it's from things going on in the world like existential threats that humanity faces or that we face individually, but ultimately ends up at hope. And that hope is what you want people to be able to hear and internalize at the end of the record.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is there's somebody sent me a text message this week, and I'm not on social media like I used to be.
Good.
But it was a screenshot from Facebook, some Facebook group, and this guy said, "Hey, I really like Becoming the Archetype, but are they a Christian band? Because I can't find anything in their lyrics that is like overtly Christian." And I was like, man, I think the second record literally
Where's
ends
Jesus?
with like every knee shall bow and every tongue. Jesus Christ is Lord is the last lyric of our second record.
They just
And
want to make sure that you guys haven't deconstructed.
the third record has How Great Thou Art as a featured song, just, kind of. I mean, it's a little nebulous what that means, but my point of saying that is to say, I think what that guy's probably doing is he's been introduced to Becoming the Archetype with the new record. Mm-hmm. And so he's reading it, and he's not quite sure what he's finding. Yeah. And that could be challenging for a lot of people who are fans, because they may be like, oh, has this band, like, have they sold out their faith, or have they stopped caring about that kind of thing? And in my mind, it's the exact opposite. I actually think this record is very deep. Mm-hmm. It's very rich. It's just something that has to be mined a little bit more. It's not quite as, like, on the surface as like the first record I wrote the lyrics for when I was 19 years old. So I mean,
and those are the best.
no sir.
Oh yeah.
I am very embarrassed.
Personal experience.
To this day.
Yep.
I have to pretend it wasn't me.
It was another you. It was another time.
It was another you.
Yeah.
That'll be the next record concept.
It was another you. Yeah. Can I do guest vocals?
You doing a guest vocal?
Hey, can we get some non-lyric questions? Because those are all for Jason. We need.
Yep. Ask Seth how good his free throw percentage is in basketball.
Yes, please. Let's talk about that.
Are you good at the basketball? At the sport
I
ball?
am very, very good. Very good.
Good. Moving on.
Lyrical question number 4.
So it's interesting how you brought up like things having to do with faith and like is Becoming the Archetype a Christian band, all that kind of stuff. Which to me, I'm bringing up the lyrics again. But they are very compelling. I did notice it was in one of the last 2 songs. There's a mention of a figure who seems to represent hope and redemption. And I'm like, that seems to be kind of a, I don't know, I may be reading too much into it to be like a Christ-like figure. I'm not sure.
Oh, no, I mean, I think it's, if you're talking about the song I'm thinking of, it's probably, I felt like that was actually the one moment in the album that's like super on the nose. Like literally, there's like a theophany, an appearance of God in outer space to this guy in a spaceship that explains to him what his mission to sacrifice himself for the others is. And I mean, I guess...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert, in my worldview, the one who is the ancient of ancients is God.
Which, for me, that was... I found it very powerful. I thought it was really cool how you guys spend all that time throughout the album, kind of creating a picture of hopelessness and, this dire situation for these people and characters. And then in the end, it's like, here's the hope here. And I'm sorry, were you about to say something, Seth?
No, you're good now.
Okay. So going along those lines, because I remember when, being a little teen, skinny teen, believe it or not, and you guys were like one of the first bands I started listening to, and listening to. Yeah.
This man had good taste when he was a skinny little teen.
Yeah.
But now, not so much.
I don't know. I've become a sort of hipster.
Yeah, who's your favorite band now? Do you have a favorite band?
Yeah, you're probably not gonna. What'd you say?
You want to toss me some death therapy questions while we're up here, so you guys can just leave?
My styles have definitely changed. Kind of gone from metal, and then I started getting into folk music, which I think a lot of like metal heads kind of had that phase where they're like, oh, I'm listening to like deep lyrics but like in another context of music. So like I listen to a lot of like Mumford and Sons and Dawes and such. So people are probably going to hate me for that, but anyways.
We forgive you. You are forgiven in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit.
I've been admonished. But I remember you guys were one of the first bands that I started listening to where it was like, man, these guys are like heavy and heavy metal, but their but their lyrics are like worship music, basically.
Yeah.
Singing about he is clothed in greatness, his voice resounds throughout the earth. And it's like, man, that concept was so new to me. So I'm just curious, like, coming from those days to now, how has that changed for you guys in terms of like your faith and such, and how, I mean, it obviously still has a pretty important impact on your music now, but have there been any changes through that time?
I mean, our story in that regard, I think, is fairly boring. We, like, I'm saying, like, Seth is a pastor. Duck leads worship at his church. I play in the worship band at my church, and I teach Bible at a private Christian school. So, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is, like, we don't have this, like, well, we were rockers who were for Jesus, and then we, like, abandoned that and did drugs for a long time, and then, like, we don't, our story is, I don't know.
But see, that's the cool grand reversal. Like, I was like the kid who got told I had to do this or that in youth group in church, and now I'm the dude telling other dudes what dudes they can listen to because I have the power now.
Yes.
So
You can burn
if you need
CDs.
permission to burn CDs, you come to me and say, Pastor Seth, can I burn this CD? And I will say, you are forgiven in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost and the heavy metal.
So.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I guess what I'm saying is that's a huge part of what we do, and I don't think any of us have had maybe it's because we did like 10 years ago sort of like go on or it wasn't. Anyway, when we left and then the band went on hiatus, it was just a natural thing for all of us. And the Lord is pleased with this conversation.
I mean,
Stomach's grumbling.
I like the sound of thunder, so I'd say it's like God's like, yeah,
Yeah.
my boys. But was there anything else you had to add to that? But because Audiofeed in particular is a great setting for people on all different sides of the spectrum when it comes to faith. And wherever you guys are at, you are all welcome. I'm just making that clear. As a spokesperson for the Audiofeed people, you are all welcome and glad to have you here. But I'm just curious, like, if you guys have any insight in terms of like what is, because you hear so many stories about bands from your era started out in the same scene, the Christian metal scene, and then all of a sudden you hear stories where they're like, we don't really believe those things anymore.
That's because they succeeded. We did not.
They got
We
mainstream.
failed as a band. And
You guys quit while you were
and the
ahead.
blessing was
ran
that
away
the Lord
with
was
our-
like, well, there's never any money in this, so you might as well just do it for me. And we were like, sweet, okay. No, but, well, so
that didn't go well.
I will say, that was, there's a little bit of truth in every joke, I guess. But
Absolutely.
I will say, like, I've been coming to Audiofeed. The band hasn't, but I've been here since 2015 or 2016. Coming to Audiofeed, so I feel like I know a lot of the people that are here, and I think it's a really cool environment. I think it's great that, to me, it reminds me of when we would go to Cornerstone way back in the day, and the only people that I'm familiar with at Cornerstone that were griping and arguing and fighting were the people standing outside basically trying to say that this whole thing is bad. You call it legalism. So it's like, to me, once you got inside of the festival, everybody was like, yeah, we're all here because we're a community. We're part of this same thing. And it doesn't even have to be the same music. A lot of the people here are not here to hear metal music. Right. We're like one of the few metal bands playing. There's a lot of indie rock bands. In fact, I think one of the guys playing guitar with us, he's in a band called My Epic.
Oh, yeah.
It's also playing tomorrow. Super great band, but they're not like, we've never played with My Epic before because we're not the same style of band.
Right, yeah.
So, and there's people probably at this festival who aren't even here for music. They're here to hear the speakers. They're here to, so I think that's
They're
great.
here to hear the
So
interviews.
I'm not trying to like put a bow on everything, but I'm excited. The fact that you guys are sitting in here, listening to us is really humbling to me. I don't feel like, I don't feel like it's that. I'm like, do we have anything special to say? But thank you for listening.
I think part of the reason that we perhaps still are where we are in our faith is because as we aged, our faith evolved. I mean, I don't know that any of us have the same sort of understanding of our faith and what it means to us as we did when the band started. So even though it's been there, it's like having a tadpole that grows into a frog. I mean, yes, it's there, but it looks and feels and interacts with the world much differently. Right. And I think that's important for pretty much any a person of faith, is to allow their faith to evolve and adapt as they experience life.
And I was just talking to somebody about my marriage earlier, and we just celebrated 15 years of marriage. And like I don't know who's married in here, but every 3 or 5 years, you're almost married to somebody else, and your spouse is also kind of disappointed, but also kind of still loves you in a way. So it's like my wife married somebody who like intentionally slept on the floor and played any show that they could
Dreadlocks.
while kind of chasing a dream to do this thing. And over the last 15 years, like we've moved several times, we've had several kids. I've tried and failed at numerous professions, and like we continue to love each other, but we're not married to exactly the same person.
Right.
We've each grown tremendously, and we've made that decision. And I think like C.S. Lewis brought it back. Has this illustration in Mere Christianity about like marriage is dependent both on the commitment and on the emotion. Mm-hmm. And you make that commitment to love that person and be faithful, but also you kind of like them. And he said sometimes the commitment wins out. And you say, I actually don't like you at all, but I'm willing to stay here because we committed to do that. And sometimes I just really like being around you, and I don't need that tethering me together. And I think sometimes our relationship with the Lord is that way. Like we understand that he's done something for us, and we don't even understand what it is exactly. But we know that he's there for us, and we know he's committed to us specifically and his church. And there are times that like we wax and wane in that affection, and there are times that like the last year of my life was literally the hardest I've ever been through. Massive depression. Our marriage was awful. And like we made the decision to pursue the Lord and pursue each other, and also say like, I understand about half of what would fit in my hand. Will you work with me in that? And it worked. And it was awesome. And my faith, I feel like, is way different than the tadpole I started with. But I now have a more robust faith that can actually take more of a beating more often. Because I've actually just gone to the Lord with my doubt and be like, hey, I don't understand these 9 things. I think they're true, but can you help me? And actually, he can handle that. Yeah. Yep. And I think that's great.
Wow. I appreciate your honesty and upfrontness about that.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think that's something that we realize as we get older, and I think that's why a lot of people we see that came from our generation. They make the decision to leave. And I think that is because we grow and we become different people. And I think the key to staying strong in your faith, for those of you who do have faith, you need to realize that we're the ones who change and God is not. And we need to realize that we're making those adjustments as we're growing, and God is merciful and graceful enough to bear with us on
and
that.
I don't know any, other than Jesus, I don't really know any figure in the Bible that's not struggling with belief or wrestling with doubts or wrestling with God, literally. So I think that should all be welcome and be encouraged at a place like Audiofeed, and for people to do that, whether it's personally or in the seminars or whatever, or even in the music. So I think it's good. I think the real point of contention that I would have is a lot of the people who sort of were on the Christian bandwagon. This is totally like we're starting a whole other podcast here with this, but like
flip the tape.
There were a lot of people in the 90s and 2000s that were like early 2000s that were kind of on a bandwagon because it was a cool place to be, and it was popular. I mean, and we reaped some of the benefits of that. We used to go tour, and we'd play in churches for 600 people when we might not be able to draw 60 people in a bar somewhere. So that was amazing, and you guys that are here probably have bands that came from that are some of your favorite bands, like Becoming the Archetype. So that's awesome. But then at the same time, a lot of people just sort of, when that stopped being cool, they were like, okay, well, I'm done with that, because that's, and I would say that would be the point of where I'm like, okay, that feels a little corny to me. It's like if you were serious about it, then you wrestle with it seriously. I guess that's all I'm saying. So I think that's where we're all at, is that it was not for us ever something that was flippant. If anything, we probably took ourselves and what we were doing a little too seriously sometimes back in the day, and maybe even now. And some of the people touring with us were like, man, you guys should just chill out and like hang out some.
Stop being so Christian.
Well, it wasn't even the Christian thing. It was the music thing.
Music and just everything we were doing.
We are very
just,
good.
Anyway.
Can you not tell that we're serious?
So if you come watch us play tonight at 9 o'clock over on the Bloodline stage, right?
Yes.
If you come watch us play and we're not good, it's because we've learned to not take ourselves so seriously.
There it is.
And if we are really good, it's because we've learned to take ourselves not so seriously. So,
amen and amen.
That's good. That's a good way to live, Otherwise,
I think also, too, I do want to say this, and this is just from my own, whatever the word is. But, like, for the people that did walk away or turn away, or now they're slinging mud, or they're super angry, man, I get it. And Jason and I had, 11 hours to talk about it over the last couple days, and every time we see each other, we kind of talk about the same things. We're like, we have about 98 friends that all kind of walked away, and every one of our conversations with one of those, we don't even bring it up, they do. And we're saying, like, hey, we want to walk through it with you. Let's talk about it. And it seems like a lot of them are angry, and we really just want to have the conversation because we understand that sometimes you do feel alone. Sometimes you feel awful, and you don't understand. Man, if you read the Psalms, David and Asaph and the other compilers of the Psalms, they're literally screaming at the top of their lungs and crying. And they're just like, Lord, have you forgotten me? How long? That is part of our faith, but the Lord is faithful to us. And we want to make sure that we're walking together with the people who have done that, and also say that, like, we have been wrong in times where we have not been kind, we have not been patient, we have not been understanding or empathetic. Not to say that everything that we've done is wrong or whatever. Our position we stand in now is firm in Christ. But we do want to say, man, we definitely have messed up, and if we've completely ruined something, like, we would like to actually own that.
Right now?
I'm going to turn my mic off now. No, Seth's going to handle that.
See, I'm a teacher, so I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, we need to get out of the classroom now. And the people... Oh,
math time. Time to go to math.
Yeah, it's time to go.
It's all good. I guess, thank you guys again so much. I guess, I know a lot of people here are probably already fans, but just just plug yourself. Where can people find your music and everything and follow you?
And that tent over there.
You can find our music at the Bloodline tent. We play at 9 o'clock. Is that when we play? 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
After
9
the band before
Central
us.
Time.
Is that where we are?
9 o'clock Central Time.
My phone still doesn't know what.
I mean, who knows? There's probably still a lot of people here that are not on Central
Right, that's what I mean.
Time
My phone
now.
doesn't know what time it is.
I'm not. I'm ready to go to bed.
Right.
I literally just looked at Seth a second ago. I was like, we got to go. Okay, what we do? We do kind of got to go.
Shout out to that Living Sacrifice shirt right there.
Yep, the
That's
old school
right.
Living Sacrifice. Thanks.
And I saw 5 of our shirts.
Awesome.
Thank you for buying them.
I don't know
from
what
Seth.
you guys
Was
are
this
doing,
one?
but thank you.
No, that's kind of silly that you have our shirt on.
Cool. All right. Well,
And if you get bored, tomorrow my other band, Death Therapy, will be playing.
awesome. Yeah.
So only if you're bored though. Don't come if you're occupied.
They just come to your set just all bored. Like,
Thank you for the interview, Clifford. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for taking this
Give it up
time.
for Clifford.
Thank you guys. I do not consider myself a professional interviewer by any means. I've kind of just started diving into this, and I try my hardest to avoid stupid questions like, what does becoming the archetype means, or what are your musical inspirations? You know? Those are good. Sure, yeah. Sometimes
those are the best questions.
It's like you should have asked those ones instead of the dumb ones you asked.
All right, let's start over.
All right, we got to go. Somebody else needs to use this stage, don't they?
Yeah. We still got a few minutes.
It's raining.
But again, thank you guys so much. If go check out Becoming the Archetype. Come in, check out their set, check out their music. And if for some reason you liked the way that I ask questions, for those of you who don't know me, I do have a YouTube channel, and they're walking off as I'm plugging myself. See you guys. No, you're all good to go. Give it up for Becoming the Archetype. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, I got a YouTube channel called I'm Clifford Today. Last year I did a documentary on last year's Audiofeed Festival, so you can check that out. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers, so I'm Clifford Today on the YouTubes. And I got a table over there. I kind of had to tear it down because of the rain, but go find me over there. I got some shirts that have my name on it and such. But I also got an interview with Ronnie Martin from Joy Electric tomorrow, so be sure to be here tomorrow. I think it's at noon, so check that out as well. And come say hi and go support Becoming the Archetype and support Orion Welsh, who's playing next. Thank you guys so much.